Hey everyone, it's Lulisai. I am here with a review for Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace. This is written and directed by George Lucas, and it released in the year of 1999, so I still wasn't born yet. I may be Unk status, but I'm not super Unk status just yet. We're getting closer though, we're getting very close to when I was born. So, The Phantom Menace, I just wrote an extremely extensive written review. If you're ever interested, you can look up Lulisai, same way it's spelled on my YouTube channel, on Letterboxd. And if you ever want to see my written thoughts, which are not scripts for these videos, but they help me, establish my thoughts and feelings so I can convey them to you better without having to have a script or read off something. So, yeah, I didn't know I was going to go that extensive. I definitely wrote way more than I did for the original trilogy, probably just because the original trilogy is pretty cut and clear that, they're iconic, end of story. But here, this is a very divisive film. I'm not even talking about like the community or whatever. I'm talking about with me. It's a divisive film for me. Because on one hand, it is super influential, way ahead of its time. This was the first ever, so Jar Jar Binks was the first ever fully CGI character who is also in a main speaking role and working alongside human actors in a live action film. I know that's a lot of ifs, but or like exceptions, but that is just to show you how important this movie was. And I mean, the scale of everything was just crazy for its time. So let's start with the plot. Now, I'm sure I'm going to miss some things in this video, especially with the story and probably some points I'm going to make, because there's a lot to digest with this movie. I mean, really, if you want to properly review this movie, you probably have to do like a 1 to 2 hour format, but I'm not going to do that here. I'm going to do a quick, nice little review, so if I forget to mention something, I apologize, but it most likely is in the back of my brain already. It's not something I forgot about. Yeah, but I may forget about it for this review, but you know what I mean. So, the plot, in very simple terms, because there is a way that I could explain this that it becomes very complicated very fast, but I'm going to do the simple version instead. The simple version is that 2 Jedi are sent or dispatched to settle a trade dispute with the Trade Federation, and it doesn't go according to plan, and the Jedi are forced to evacuate to the nearby planet of Naboo because the Trade Federation, turns out, they're bad guys, and they already have formed a blockade on the planet, which is going to stop them from getting supplies and outreach and whatever. And they're also not allowed to leave the planet at the same time, so they're trapped there. And the Federation is also about to invade them using their battle droid army. So the Jedi, their goal is to reach the capital city of Theed in order to inform Queen Amidala and just the people of the Naboo in general of the impending attack on them, on their sovereignty. So yeah, and they do meet a Gungan named Jar Jar Binks, who is unintelligent and very annoying, but unfortunately they do need his help because he's going to help them secure transport to the city, and also as a navigator through the planet's core. Yeah, and we also have, so by the way, I'm gonna treat this as like, if someone watches this video, I'm gonna treat it as if they were a brand new Star Wars fan who's watching the Star Wars movies in chronological order for the first time. Because most of us are gonna have a way bigger picture of what's actually happening because of the original trilogy, but let's say you didn't watch that, I don't want to ruin things for you, just by the off chance that is happening. So, I'm going to be pretty vague here on purpose, but yeah, so Darth Sidious, this, leader of the Sith, or not really leader, I guess, it's hard to explain, he's more like, he's currently the most powerful Sith alive, as far as we know. I'm sure there's the far reaches of space, blah, 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 whatever, but he sends his apprentice, Darth Maul, to hunt down the Jedi, who are now escorting Queen Amidala to Coruscant to try and play politics in order to get the Republic to, disown the Trade Federation, I guess, and, stop what they're doing. So, Yeah, and again, there's more stuff going on. One more important thing I'll mention is that eventually our heroes go to the familiar planet of Tatooine because they need to repair their ship, and that's where they meet the young Anakin Skywalker, who is, of course, a very important character in this series, and he is a gifted child would be the best way to describe him without spoiling things. Okay, so let's start with the positives. So the historical importance. I already gave the speech about Jar Jar and how he's the first, because he wasn't the first CGI character. I mean, there was Terminator 2, there was Toy Story before this, but he was the first speaking role side by side with human actors, directly interacting with them throughout the entirety of the movie, for the entire time. So yeah, I've actually met Ahmed Best, who is the man who portrayed Jar Jar, and he's a very nice person. So I don't have anything against him, but I am going to be bashing this character a little bit. But it's nothing personal. It's just for the sake of the review. He's a nice guy, though. Really happy to have met him. I've met actually a lot of cast members from this movie in particular. I met Ray Park, and I also met Ian McDiarmid, and they were also both very nice. So positives. Okay, so the whole historical influence thing, I just want to really set, this movie was the first of its kind in the sense that it's think of it like Fellowship of the Ring scale before Fellowship would come out, obviously, right? So this is the biggest, baddest movie at the time of its release. The sheer amount of scale to it is crazy. The number of digital objects on the screen at any given time, the almost entire reliance on blue and green screens, the huge planets and bustling cities with just so much happening in the background. There's nothing has been like this before. So super ahead of its time, historically significant, and really pushed the industry forward and advanced things. So huge credit to it for that. I also think it's actually aged pretty well, surprisingly. I mean, I think this movie has aged better than some of the special edition changes to the original trilogy, because at least here everything's kind of meant to look this certain way, a little bit uncanny valley on purpose, or kind of just the way it is. But in original trilogy, they injected uncanny valley into something that did not have it before. So I find this movie has aged way better with these particular computer special effects. Yeah, I love the planets and the general world building. We're introduced to Naboo, unless you count Return of the Jedi Special Edition. I'm not really sure we can count that, because Naboo is not in the original Return of the Jedi, and I mean, you see it for I don't know, 2.5 seconds, maybe 3 seconds. So really get the true introduction of Naboo here, you get the true introduction of Coruscant here, and there's so much going on with the world now that it's really exciting to think about, because you've got all these new ships, so many new vehicles. It's just a completely different era that has been crafted from nothing, and I just think it's kind of genius. That's another genius thing actually that George Lucas does here. He sets up the franchise so well with these movies, the prequel trilogy specifically, because, I mean the original trilogy as well, but the prequel trilogy really was genius when setting up the overall franchise as a whole, because he has, George Lucas has an insane attention to detail. He will do a full-on costume, weapon prop, and makeup for a character who only appears for 2 or less seconds. I'm referring to Aura Singh. And Aura Singh's irrelevant to this movie, doesn't matter at all, but she will become a real, fully fleshed out character in future media. She'll be sold as toys and stuff like that, right? Lego. So he's just kind of George Lucas was so ahead of his time. I mean, Toy Story did that as well, but he's planned so much ahead of time that it boggles my mind how he was able to creatively come up with so many concepts and ideas. And his attention to detail is honestly unmatched. Every single scene has important little details that you can pick out if you're paying attention. And sometimes you don't even have to pay attention, and it's just super obvious how detailed every single scene is. So really just huge kudos to world building and establishing the lore and franchise and all the various, I guess you could call it a bestiary. It's probably a better word for that. Just the, yeah, what's that, what's the word I'm looking for? An encyclopedia of its own universe is really a huge part of that encyclopedia is in this movie and introduced here. Love the designs of everything. The Naboo starfighters are awesome. And B1 battle droids. I really like these battle droids in particular because these battle droids are way more cold and calculated than the future ones. And there is a lore reason for that because of the whole control. They shift away from the control station to independently thinking, basically. Kind of mimicking AI today, I guess, a little bit. But yeah, so the battle droids in this are not like free thinkers whatsoever. So they are just like kind of cold, ruthless, and actually a little bit dangerous. Like, these droids are actually a little bit scary at times, not like literally frightening you, but I feel like they could actually hurt someone, whereas the future ones are just kind of like, you know, pathetic little play toys just to laugh at, who are constantly making jokes and whatnot. Love the battles, and here's the two biggest positives I can give this movie. Number one, Duel of the Fates is the best soundtrack in all of Star Wars, in my opinion. Darth Maul is such an amazing villain. He's exactly everything he needed to do and be. And it's even better because he's not attempting to steal the show from the other villain who's narratively way more significant. A lesser movie might try to push Darth Maul on you and, you know, give him a sad backstory or something ridiculous like that. But no, he's just literally just an assassin who's chasing down the heroes. You don't need to know anything more beyond that, and that's exactly why it works. The other thing is the opening and the ending of the movie. These are when the movie is at its peak. The middle is where the problems are, and I'll discuss this now. But the beginning and the ending of the movie are completely awesome. Love everything about it. Okay, now for the problems. Number one, Jar Jar Binks is the worst Star Wars character, and one of the worst characters in cinema history, and his inception was here, obviously. So they course correct with him pretty hard, and they do kind of reduce his screen time the more that Star Wars went on, and because they can't just erase him from existence, right? So they wrote him into a hole where he gets tucked away doing something else in the future. But for here, he is a main character. He is extremely annoying. He's constantly destroying scenes that are meant to be serious with out-of-place, tonally inappropriate jokes at the wrong times. And overall, his vibe doesn't match the movie because everyone is acting so serious at all times in this. I guess maybe that's intentional because he's supposed to be the polar opposite, but it just doesn't work. It's just not fluid at all. So you've got these super serious guys trying to save the day, and then you've got Jar Jar just like, you know, stepping in poo and just smelling farts and stuff like that, literally. I'm not even making those up. So yeah, he's just kind of insufferable. And even though this movie has grown on me over time, I've watched like probably over 25 times this movie in my life. This movie's absolutely grown on me the more and more I watch it, but Jar Jar's the one element that has never grown on me. He just doesn't click with me. There's nothing of value for him with me. And yeah, I think his presence also indicates the marketing towards children versus, you know, original Star Wars trilogy, which can be for everyone. I mean, this is still for everyone, but original Star Wars could get a little bit gritty here and there. For example, the massacre at the Lars homestead in A New Hope. But this is more like Return of the Jedi with the Ewoks, where things are being dumbed down. The battles are inherently going to be less frightening or less intense because, you know, it's just kind of, it's playtime hour. So yeah, still like the battles, but I'm just saying. Yeah, on the topic of acting, not that I'm blaming Ahmed or anything, I do have to say the actors in this are very, very stiff. I mean, if you watch any other movie that any of these big name actors are in, complete night and day difference. I believe the reason is because they are in green screens most of the time and they're reacting to things that aren't actually there. So like literally tennis balls and creatures that don't actually exist. So they're just walking around in an empty green room trying to pretend to be surprised by things in real life. I think that's why it's so stiff, but yeah, their performances are extremely wooden, very stiff in this. I'm pretty much talking about basically everyone except Jar Jar, who's now is being too annoying, so he's too much. And also Darth Maul, he's not wooden, he's perfect. So, but yeah, Padme, Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon, these characters are extremely wooden. It's like they don't want to be there. I should have said their actor names because, I mean, the characters, you know, maybe Jedi are very stoic and that's lore accurate and whatever, but these actors, they really seem like they just want to go home. That was the energy I was getting for them the majority of the time in this. Yeah, and the middle section is the big, big problem for me. Actually, before we get into that, let me just say that The story's not particularly good. There's annoying in-universe politics that's kind of a waste of time. The Jedi Council is a really boring scenes, which is surprising because there's Samuel L. Jackson, who's also very wooden and doesn't want to be there and kind of wants to go home. Is the energy I was getting from him too. But again, he's standing in a room full of like fake people, right? So I don't know. How do you get inspired with that and act natural? But yeah, okay. So the middle of this movie is a huge time sink, a huge waste of time. I like the pod race. Don't get me wrong. It's one of my favorite parts. But getting to the pod race and then leaving the pod race, the scenes around the pod race, that's not including the opening and ending scenes, these are really weak scenes. They drag. They really, really drag. It's just like almost borderline pretentious George Lucas thinking that we care so much about the interworkings of how the Galactic Senate works and, you know, the bureaucracy and hypocrisy of all those different people who are greedy and stuff like that. I don't care. I'm not interested. Please stop pushing this on me because it's boring. I'm falling asleep. There are certain scenes in this where I am literally like almost falling asleep. And it's not like that in the original trilogy at all. There's never a down moment in the original trilogy. But here, Qui-Gon is ridiculous sometimes in this. I mean, I swear he's like almost purposely trying to make this... He's trying to solve the problems at hand in the most counterintuitive ways possible because of his Jedi code, but he also like repeatedly ignores the code anyways. So why is he like doing halvesies? He just has his own moral code, I guess. But it's a bizarre moral code because really just steal the shit part you need and let's get on with it. We don't like. I like the pod race, but why are you jumping through all these hoops to appease some guy who owns slaves, right? Like nobody's gonna get mad at Qui-Gon for trying to steal a part from a slave owner, gambler guy, in order to save an entire nation of peaceful societies on Naboo. Like the greater good outweighs, and etc., etc. So I just feel like there's so many ways that we could have gone about this, and really it's just an excuse to meet Anakin and to get him into the program. So, but yeah, it is a huge time sink. Jar Jar is destroying multiple scenes. And I will say, Anakin, young Annie, I don't hate Annie as much as most fans of Star Wars do, but I will say he does destroy the final space battle scene because he's giving off random one-liners that are just kind of like there for joke's sake, despite the... I mean, it could have been a threatening situation that was had more impact to it, but it just doesn't. There's no stakes to the final space battle. This might be my least favorite space battle in all of Star Wars because of how pointless feeling it is. It's not technically pointless, but it just feels pointless and how like it has no stakes or impact at all. Because I mean, he's just throwing one-liners, which would be one thing, but then on top of that, even worse, he accidentally saves the day. So he didn't even intend to save the day. He just accidentally saves the day, which just makes me like care even less and be even less impressed. So I'm going to give Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, a 5 out of 10. I know, it's a very harsh score, but I do like this movie. I unironically enjoy watching it, despite all its problems, and I think I've justified my position pretty well here. If you disagree, fair enough, but I think I'm being pretty reasonable. There's a ton to love about it and a ton to hate about it, and it just kind of ends up being pretty mixed for me. So yeah, thanks so much for watching this video, and I will see you next time.